Thank you.
So additionally, you'd like to make that countywide, you'd like to head up the effort?
No problem.
We'll talk about that. Okay, anyone else, anyone have anything else? Presentations of petitions, communications, and notices. Cassandra.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolutions were received by Oswego County and Niagara County in opposition to New York State actions restricting Second Amendment rights. A resolution from Cayuga County was received advocating for maintaining a 60-hour work week for farm workers. And correspondence was received from Mr. Kevin Kapfer voicing his dissatisfaction with law enforcement efforts on the Lewis County trail system, citing his estimated average of 1 death per month between snowmobiles and ATVs. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments. Cassandra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislators received the monthly treasurer's report, monthly highway and solid waste audit reports. They also received a report from senior code official Ward Daly on a home located at 9740 Main Street in the town of Croghan, which cites the property as unsafe, unfit for human occupancy, and therefore condemned. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll move on to reports of standing committees. Tom is not here, he's been excused. Phil is the vice chair of Finance and Rules Committee. Do you have any, you have a report?
No, there's no report.
Okay. Any questions for Phil, Finance and Rules?
Do you have a spreadsheet for that?
I could do one quickly.
Okay, we'll move on to Ian, General Services Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one motion tonight. I move to authorize Brian Hanno, Purchasing Director, to create and send out an RFQ for engineer services on the Public Safety Building Parking Lot renovation project.
Moved by Ian, do I have a second? Lisa, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, that concludes my motions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Ian with General Services? If not, we'll move on to Lisa with Health and Human Services Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no motions or anything to bring up tonight.
Any questions for Lisa? I will move to Dick, the board's rep on the hospital board of managers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a new director of facilities management. His name is Robert Fargo. He's got 28 years of hospital experience in the facility management field, and he's been with us since the 6th of September. Our employee for the month, Jacqueline Pate, RN. If you know Jacqueline, you see her around, congratulate her on her selection as an employee of the month. Our swing bed admissions were the highest of all time in August. Purchase services were over budget due to traveling nurses in several departments, and we still have a lot of openings. Any nurses that are looking for a job, just head on up there and see HR, and you can probably go to work tomorrow morning. We've opened up the Adirondack Edge and the Circle Drive again. They were closed due to some construction work in that area. So they're back open. I was up there myself today for some other stuff. And the residents are setting out on the patio again and enjoying it. And the project continues to be on track. It's going to be completed in December of 2023. And their hope is to get a roof on something between now and November or early December, depending on the weather, so they can work this one. That concludes my report, barring any questions.
Anyone have questions for Dick? If not, we'll move on to our project manager, Nick Garrido, for an update on our capital projects.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak to the board here. Things are going very well over at the for the county. DSS, the walls are going up, the exterior walls are going up, interior plumbing's dropped in, slab's getting poured soon in there. Shortly, interior walls will start to go up in there. Maintenance garage is up. Interior walls have been framed out, ready to rough in there as well. Down at the highway garage site, cold storage building is scheduled to arrive next month. And we plan on digging beginning next week for the highway garage itself. And, things are starting to move along very fast, which is very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for Nick? Okay, we'll move on to the county manager report. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to begin my report by acknowledging our emergency management, fire, and EMS coordinator, Bob McKenzie. He was selected as the 2022 Lewis County Community Health Hero for our community. We've done a nice job with county employees winning in the past. Ashley Waite's been recognized, Anna Platz has been recognized, but I think it was really nice to see Bob McKenzie get that award and get that recognition, because we all know the time that he puts into the community. So there will be a reception for that, and the county is going to probably have a table. So if folks want to, it's at the Hilton Garden Inn on October 26th. If you're interested in attending that reception to honor Bob, we can, ride together and have a table. So very nice. I also wanted to recognize our folks at the Department of Social Services. In the last couple months, we've actually had 2 adoptions. We had an adoption today of 2 young kids that were all dressed up here at the courthouse, and Carol McLaughlin, their caseworker, brought a nice cake and had a little reception, and it was just a really nice thing. So we don't have a lot of them in Lewis County, but it's a wonderful thing when it does happen. So kudos to the team at DSS. It was clear that the kids and the family all knew who our folks were, and same with Jones' office with Matt Gettle, did a great job moving that along as well. So 2 nice stories there from our county employees. The late resolution that we put in front of you guys, and it is quite late, and we apologize for that, but the public comment period for the Public Service Commission ends on October 9th. And this is regarding the re-energy facility on Fort Drum. And we actually had a nice event last night that was put on by the IDA with re-energy and folks from the logging industry and transportation industry in Lewis County. And it was very well attended. It was at the Elks Club, and there was hardly an empty seat in the house. In fact, there's some folks standing in the back. There are over 24 registered logging operations, businesses in Lewis County. It's a big, it's a big part of this community from its founding, back 200 years ago. Logging and wood product manufacturing has been a big part of, the growth of Lewis County. And so keeping that chip facility going, which is now in the hands of the Public Services Commission, is something that's very important to the small businesses of Lewis County and to that logging community. So we had a great event, and I hope you would support the resolution that we put forward. It's basically just to comment about how important this industry is to Lewis County, and the fact that marginal forest material that would be left on site anyway, being chipped into wood products and burned, is that's good renewable energy. And the state wants to tell us that it's not, but we here in Lewis County have been managing our forests for 150 years. We know better. So anyway, that's the deal with the late resolution. Last thing I would say is that to agree with Nick there, the project is moving along quite quickly at this point. We were going slowly for a while there, but now we're moving along. If anybody would like a tour of any of the sites, it is kind of interesting. Larry and I went up to the Human Service Building last week I mean, it is wide open at this point. So if you're interested in going and taking a look and kind of seeing things before it gets closed back in and the interior work starts, just give me a shout. I'd be happy to go up with you and we can put on our hard hats and walk through. So other than that, if there's any questions.
Any questions for Ryan, Dick?
I'd just like to make a comment that we had the employee appreciation month last week. And for everybody involved in putting that together, I mean, thank you, and from the rest of the board, I'm sure too. And for Caitlin, she decided that the people at the recycling and transfer site probably couldn't make it out there due to the busy day, so she put together a whole bunch of lunches for them. I said, well, I'm just going back to Lowell, I'll take them. The gentleman that came to get them, it was raining a little bit, and I didn't want to get out in the rain. He's looking at me like, what do you want? I'm tooting the horn, flashing the lights and stuff. So when he came around and saw what we had, Caitlin, I told him, you were totally responsible for it. I thought he was going to start crying. You really touched his heart by taking that and putting them together, so thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Dick. Okay, we move on to County Treasurer report. Eric, please.
Thank you. You have my written report and update on sales tax. Since I actually prepared this, we did receive some information from NISAC regarding the quarterly adjustments, which is something that's been a little out of whack since COVID. So they just gave us a little forewarning that the quarterly adjustments we'll be seeing in our receipts this month, and it could have some negative impact to us. So we've been on a very positive trend. I'm hoping that any negative impact will be small, but just a little heads up on that. We should be getting an October payment in about 2 days and then another one next week. So those will be interesting to see how the impact we see from that. And we'll get some updates out to you when we see those payments. I also thought I might give you a little update on interest rates and investments. But before I do, Legislator Hathaway walked in the door with a question on that, so I'll let him ask his question and then I'll give you some updates.
Well, I was just wondering what the rates are, particularly based on having that company helping us out with it, compared to what we used to.
Perfect. So again, I was thinking to just give you some verbal information on that, and I will try to send out a schedule of our investments. We had a phone call. We had quarterly phone calls with 3+1. We had a phone call last week, and Tazin and I then spent an hour kind of trying to process and strategize a little bit of what they're directing us to do. And I would say that I mean the guidance and the analysis they've been giving us for about 2 years now has really been amazing and very helpful. They have 2 years of data now, which really gives them a lot of information to guide us. They're aggressive as far as investing our funds and using their data to make sure we're not leaving any funds sitting on the table. So that's a challenge. I mean, for us to say, okay, can we really invest all that? What if we need something next week? So that's just a little preface, but it's going very well so far. As you know, interest rates have just changed significantly, and we're really starting to benefit from that. Just simple dollars. We had budgeted $80,000 of interest revenue this year, 2022. We're at $99,000 already. I've not done calculations for the rest of the year, but I think we'll double that $80,000 would be my guess. And I think in 2023, it'll be even higher. As again, you've seen the rate increases. I'll give you a sample of increases. When we first started with 3+1, we were doing CDRs, which are a derivative of a CD. In December of 2020, we were getting 2-year CDs at 0.45%. So just, and again, I'll send you some information on this, but just think about those things. So 0.45% in late 2020. In April of 2022, we transitioned to some Treasury bills. We're doing quite a bit of that now. April 2022, we had a 1-year Treasury at 1.7%. And now, next week, we're expecting to purchase some new Treasuries, 1-year Treasuries at 4%.
Really?
So we've gone up 3% in 2 years. Again, the effect on the bottom line is going to be, the interest income we make is going to be significant. So that's great. Again, definitely has brought a new element of work to us. I mean, in past years, we put money in CDs and we just let them sit there. Now when you see that list of our investments, I mean, we're trying to balance those and track those. It's something we have to keep an eye on a very regular basis. One other note, we started using NICLAS about 3 or 4 months ago. That's kind of an association of counties that pool their money for investments. They have just a basic investment fund that we all put our money into, and it's much more fluid. We can put money in today and take it out tomorrow, which very much helps the cash flow, and that is at 2.8% for that liquid. Again, money in today, I can take it out tomorrow or next week at 2.8%. So that gives you some information,
It's
and
good stuff.
definitely is.
3 + 1 is a good hire.
They guide us on where to invest. They actually go out and contact the banks for us, but then they let us make the final decision. So they're not a broker. They don't buy anything for us. They just provide us information and guidance.
And I'm kind of glad that it gave you more work to.
Thanks.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, Phil, that I'm thinking that I wasn't very complimentary of the light bulb program in Harrisville. I think that is a great effort, and I do wish we could, expand it somehow too. So I didn't mean to undermine your.
No, I didn't take offense this time.
That's the first.
It was really good of that anonymous couple to come forward to help with that.
Okay. Now move on to the report of the Financial Rules Committee for Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $3,339,298.50 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Need a motion, please? Lisa, second. Jeff, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. So moving on to resolutions, we're a little short on time here. Are all these public hearings? Okay, okay.
With respect to the hearing set for the proposed demolition of the building located at 5507 Trinity Ave, the board may remember at the last meeting that there was a resolution describing what the codes department had found at this location. It is abandoned. It is a two-family residence. It is, the structure is unsafe. There's foundation damage. There's structural damage to the roof. The ceiling and walls are failing. There's a tremendous amount of filth in the structure. It lacks water, so there can't be any cooking or sanitation that goes on. The recommendation from the codes department, having looked at this facility over a number of times over the past few months, the recommendation of the codes department is for the board to declare it unsafe and to determine that it should be demolished and taken down and cleaned up so that it can be marketed for other development or use. In addition, this property also had an environmental lien on it. And this was also brought up to the board at the prior resolution that we had on this. There is environmental lien held by the state, who came in and remedied portions of this property which had an environmental spill on it. I believe it came from the next door property, but I'm not absolutely certain about that. But there is a lien for $24,677 that remains on the property. They did remediation, and that lien would have to be satisfied at some point if we market the property, if the owner fails to pay any of these expenses. The recommendation from codes is that the board authorize and declare that it is unsafe pursuant to local law 2-2007, and to order its removal and demolition if the property owner who was served with these papers, but who quite honestly is in an assisted living facility, no other family members have come forward. We've tried to contact anyone and everyone who we might know is connected to this owner. Nobody has come forward. So we're requesting that the board, I'm going to move for the board to declare that this property is unsafe and should be demolished with any costs that the county incurs for same pursuant to local law 2-2007 be added to the property taxes.
Dick?
Yeah, Larry, I'd make that motion if she needs a legislator to make it. If she doesn't, I'll second hers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved by Dick, second by Josh. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll have all of these documents provided by the Codes Department contained in the file and the minutes of the resolution.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on any of the two local laws in this demolition for 5507 Trinity Ave? Anyone out here that would like to comment on any one of those? If not, I think we're okay to close the public hearing on those three at this point and move on to resolutions. So we have 219, 221, 231, 237, 248, and 249 identified to be voted on separately. Are there any other resolutions that anyone would like called for a separate vote? If not, I would like a motion to pass the rest of the resolutions as a slate. Bill, second by Lisa. Do you have any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Slate carries. So we're back to number 219.
Resolution number 219-2022, auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $3,339,298.50.
Moved by Ian, second by Lisa. Any discussion? This is a roll call.
Legislator Bergler,
Yes.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne has been excused, Legislator Leviker,
Yes.
Legislator Morahan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Mosher,
Yes, but
And
I'm gonna abstain from anything that's going in my office.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Yes.
Okay. The next one is resolution number 221 of 2022, resolution adopting and otherwise treating local law number 5-2022, County of Lewis.
Moved by Lisa, second. Jill, discussion. All in favor?
This is a roll call, Chairman.
Okay.
So you motion.
Okay.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Mosher,
Yes.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
Legislator Levicker,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne has been excused, Legislator Berkler,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Moorhan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Yes.
Resolution number 231-2022, resolution in opposition to New York State actions restricting Second Amendment rights.
Moved by Dick, second by Josh. Discussion.
I asked this to be pulled because I wanted to highlight it.
Okay.
And I wanted to thank you for pushing it through, for pushing, putting it together for us. It's really important to all our people. And that's why I asked it to be pulled.
Dick?
Yes, I've noticed in the paper that the counties surrounding us have had similar reactions to this. And I do recommend that the county managers speak with those county managers, because it says in here we're willing to work with all of them, and just let them know that we are willing to work with them. Thank you.
We used some of those resolutions to model this one, but I think we go a little step further and requesting that they repeal the laws. I don't think the other resolutions, at least that I'm aware of, what took that
No, I don't
step.
think they did either. We've got, like a repeal part.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution number 237-2022, resolution adopting and otherwise treating local law number 4-2022, County of Lewis.
Moved by Lisa, second. Josh, discussion. Okay, this is a roll call.
Legislator Osborne has been excused, Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
Legislator Berkler,
Yes.
Legislator Levicker,
Yes.
Legislator Mosher,
Yes.
Legislator Moorhan,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Chartrand,
Yes.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Yes.
The next one is the first late resolution, which is resolution number 248-2022, resolution awarding bids and authorizing agreements between the County of Lewis and 4 separate prime contractors identified for the DMV Board of Election renovation project.
Moved by Lisa, second. Dick. Discussion. All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I would just like to comment that I've received some, I don't know if I would call them complaints, but from my constituents that we've been doing a lot of building lately. And I would have one suggestion is that we do have the Glenfield School. It is a nice facility. I've toured it. It seems like it's a good facility it has some other uses also that we could possibly use it for. And I would just, my suggestion would be to consider using that. Because we're not going to get much money out of it if we do try to sell it compared to the cost of continuing to build new buildings. I understand that, new building will last much longer, but we built a lot of new buildings, and I'm not sure our local taxpayers would continue to build versus saving some money and using a facility that we already have. That's just my comment.
Okay, understand your concern, but I think the Board of Elections has to be cited in the county seat,
Yes.
which is Loudville. So we would not be able to move that to Unfield.
So the DMV could be.
This really is, the expansion is to house Board of Elections and just combine them to try to save money. DMV is a standalone now is sufficient to support what they need to do there. This expansion is mostly to provide a home for Board of Election and try to save some money in doing that by, rather than, housing it as a separate entity, it would be, included with another county department, so.
I understand.
But if you would like to make that, if you'd like to offer that as a amendment, we can vote on that.
I just wanted to let my constituents be heard.
Okay.
There is an RFQ out for the Glenfield School to see what businesses can come in there.
Correct. I know, but I mean, I think the county could save some money by using that facility compared to what we get paid for. Because at least the new section of the school, to me, appears to be a very nice facility. It's not that old.
Understand your concern, and we hope, that works out well to cite some either private or, effort the county supports when we're finished using it for DSS. And as Lisa points out, there's an RFP out for proposals to do that. So hopefully we get some good results from that. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
So Jeff opposed, and the motion carries.
The last resolution is number 249-2022, resolution providing comment to the Public Service Commission in support of Re-Energy Holdings LLC request for bioenergy generation compensation as renewable energy system.
Moved by Dick, second by Phil.
Phil had his hand up first. I'd like to second the
Discussion.
motion.
Go ahead, Phil.
The loggers are vitally important to our county. And as Brian said, have been for 150 years. They're good people, they're salt of the earth, and this is gonna have, if that gets closed, it's gonna have a devastating effect on them and us. As you know, you've been through this, Larry. It's short-sighted what the state is trying to do to that, in my opinion. It's short-sighted because of the effect on our economy, but also our forests. To leave all that junk in the forest that now gets used for a good purpose is a bad thing. I appreciate the fact that we're doing this resolution, and I'm sure they will appreciate it too. Dick, did you?
I seconded your motion.
Just for a little bit of history for those out there that don't know what we're talking about. In 2019, the state passed and I can't remember the name of it, some kind of a climate leadership goals. And in that, they excluded the use of biofuels as a renewable energy, so that they could not apply for renewable energy credits. So this is concerning, we had one in the county that was at Lionsdale. They were forced to close because they could not get these renewable energy credits from NYSERDA because they were disqualified. So that facility closed a few years ago, and now the state, even though they have supported this endeavor monetarily up till this point, where they've invested in Fort Drum over, I believe, $50 million. The state now has decided to cut the legs off of that and not allow them to apply for renewable energy credits, so that facility will not be viable, will not be sustainable, and that facility will have to close also, or else convert to some acceptable energy. Anyways, as Phil points out, there are, would you say, 200 and some loggers in the county, Ryan?
Yeah, over 25 businesses.
But not only that, but we're talking here about the sustainability and the health of our forest in general in upstate New York, because what this does, it provides a way of getting rid of the wood that's half dead or not usable for anything, including, in my mind, to use as a processing for it to store carbon. It makes no sense to me to think that a half-dead tree can process as much CO2 as a young, healthy forest can. So not only are we talking about losing all these jobs, which are in the county and necessary for our economic stability here, but we're talking about the forest in New York State. So I think the state legislature has a vision that they really, and this goes along the lines of the electric vehicles also. They have a vision of where they want to get, but they have not thought about how they're going to get there or the consequences in the actions that they have come forth with in Albany on the whole renewable energy and electric vehicle discussion. So
They've got a New York City vision.
they have a New York City vision. I just read an article this morning because in New York City, they have to install, I think it was 22,000 electric vehicle charging stations in Manhattan and the Bronx by 2030. So they've been trying to accomplish this, Con Ed's been trying to accomplish this for a couple of years. They have installed one. So they only have another 21,999 to do. I mean, they just have not spent much time, I don't think, trying to understand that they just can't go from A to B in 8 years and do it successfully. So,
This also doesn't hurt just the loggers, it would also hurt the property taxpayers in Lewis County who has forest. And I will speak for myself, who have had their trees that are not viable anymore be chipped and sent for biomass. So I would receive money, or whoever is the landowner receives money that's a benefit to our taxpayers in Lewis County. They have a facility like this located in Lewis County, for example.
So this resolution is actually a letter that's going to the Public Service Commission to make them aware of our thoughts on the subject and ask them to revisit this 2019 law that the legislature passed, New York State Legislature passed. And with that, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I had to stop talking because I could call Brian here shortly. Okay, do we have, that's it for resolutions, right? Any other business anyone would like to discuss? Jerry and Mike, I have our input here I'd like to pass along to you before you leave, so. Motion to adjourn. Lisa, second by Dick, all in favor? Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.